Welcome back, and thank you for tuning into Cheating Tales Lab. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know, what part of the world are you watching from right now? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. Pictures of Yesterday. David Miller's fingers gripped the silver-framed wedding photo on his desk, knuckles turning white with suppressed rage. 15 years of memories taunted him through the glass. Katie's auburn hair gleaming in the summer light, her smile radiating joy and promise. All lies, he now knew. Moment, kiss, whispered "I love you," contaminated by her betrayal. The construction empire he'd built from nothing demanded his attention. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Mitch about the Henderson project sign-offs. David ignored it, his mind replaying the warning signs he'd dismissed. The new clothes appearing in her closet. The sudden password changes on her phone. The late meetings that left traces of unfamiliar cologne on her skin. Mr. Miller? His secretary's voice crackled through the intercom. Mr. Thompson is here about the downtown development. Send him in. David's voice carried the authority of a man who commanded respect, not just requested it. He tucked the photo into his desk drawer, burying it beneath contracts and permits. Roger Thompson strode in, radiating the nervous energy of men who believed their money made them important. David, we need to discuss the timeline for. The timeline stays as agreed. David cut him off, standing to his full height. Your financing delays don't change my schedule. But surely we can. We can't. David moved to the window overlooking the construction site below. You came to me because I'm the best. I deliver on time, every time. That's non-negotiable. Thompson's protest died in his throat. David Miller's reputation preceded him, fair but uncompromising, generous to allies but merciless to those who crossed him. The downtown development would make Thompson millions, but only if David's company handled the construction. After Thompson left, Mitch knocked on the door. 20 years of friendship had earned him the right to enter without waiting for a response. Henderson project needs your sign-off, boss. And Jessica Henderson herself called twice this morning. David's jaw tightened. Jessica Henderson, Katie's mentor, the woman who'd given her that first break in real estate. The luxury apartment complex project should have been their crowning achievement together. Now it was just another battlefield in their collapsing marriage. How long have you known? David asked, fixing Mitch with a penetrating stare. Mitch shifted uncomfortably. Known what? About Katie and Robert Walsh. The silence stretched between them. Mitch sank into a chair, his weathered face lined with concern. I wasn't sure at first. Saw them at Riverside Cafe last month. Could have been business, but the way they looked at each other wasn't professional. Mitch pulled out his wallet, extracting a business card. Rebecca Torres, private investigator, former detective. She's discreet, thorough. David examined the card, memorizing the number. You should have told me sooner. Would you have believed me? Mitch challenged. You've been blind where Katie's concerned since the day she walked into your dad's hardware store. The mention of his father sparked fresh pain. James Miller's funeral 6 months ago. Katie holding his hand, whispering words of comfort. Had she been sleeping with Robert even then? Had her sympathy been genuine, or just another performance in her elaborate deception? I trusted her, David admitted, the words burning his throat. That's on her, not you. Mitch stood, clapping a hand on David's shoulder. But what happens next? That's on you. David reached for his phone, dialing Rebecca Torres's number. She answered on the second ring, her voice carrying the no-nonsense tone of someone who'd seen humanity at its worst. Mr. Miller, I've been expecting your call. How did you? Mitch contacted me last week. I've already started preliminary surveillance. When would you like to meet? David checked his calendar. Tonight, 8 p.m. My office. Bring any relevant information, schedules, phone records, bank statements. And Mr. Miller? The sooner we start, the more evidence we can gather. The rest of the day passed in a blur of meetings and site inspections. David maintained his usual commanding presence, but his mind churned with possibilities. Katie had always praised his attention to detail, his meticulous planning. She'd learned just how meticulous he could be. Rebecca's office occupied the third floor of a converted warehouse. No name on the door, no flashy signs, just the kind of discretion his situation required. She greeted him with a firm handshake, her dark eyes assessing him with professional detachment. "Tell me everything," she instructed. Opening a notebook, David recounted the changes in Katie's behavior, the suspicious patterns, the growing distance. Rebecca took notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When he finished, she closed the notebook with a decisive snap. 3 months of surveillance, minimum, she declared. Phone records, email monitoring, physical observation. My brother Michael handles the digital side. He's former NSA, knows how to access things legally that most people can't reach. It won't be cheap. Money's not an issue. Rebecca nodded, unsurprised. There's something else you should know. You're not the first husband to hire me because of Robert Walsh. He has a pattern, targeting successful real estate agents, preferably married ones. The affairs usually last 6 to 8 months before he moves on. David's hands curled into fists. You've investigated him before? 3 times. Different agencies, different cities. He's careful, but not careful enough. She pulled a file from her desk. This is everything I have on him. Review it, then we'll discuss strategy. The file contained photographs, dates, witness statements. Robert Walsh's predatory pattern emerged with nauseating clarity. The calculated approach, the gradual seduction, the eventual destruction of marriages and careers. What happened to the other wives? The ones who hired you? Rebecca's expression hardened. They tried to save their marriages, confronted their husbands, attempted counseling. It never worked. Walsh had already poisoned the well. I won't make that mistake, David assured her. Good. Because this isn't just about your marriage anymore. Based on some preliminary digging, I suspect Katie and Walsh are collaborating on deals behind their firm's back. Splitting commissions, manipulating listings. Highly unethical, possibly illegal. David absorbed this information, his rage crystallizing into cold determination. Get me proof. All of it. And Rebecca? I want them to feel secure, comfortable. Let them think they're getting away with it. Understanding perfectly, Mr. Miller. Rebecca's smile held no warmth. Sometimes the best revenge requires patience. Over the next several weeks, David maintained a careful facade. He attended business functions with Katie, played the role of devoted husband. If she noticed anything amiss, she gave no sign. Her own deception had made her blind to his. The evidence accumulated steadily. Rebecca's surveillance photos showed intimate lunches, stolen kisses in parking lots, secret meetings in upscale hotels. Michael Torres intercepted text messages that left no doubt about the depth of their betrayal, both personal and professional. They're getting sloppy, Rebecca reported during one of their weekly meetings. Confident they won't get caught, Walsh booked them a room at the Grand next week. Same place they met last month. David reviewed the latest batch of photos. One showed Katie and Robert walking through Madison Park, where he'd proposed 15 years ago. The final insult. It's time, he decided. Contact Walsh's wife. Sandra Walsh proved to be a formidable ally. The corporate lawyer took one look at Rebecca's evidence and saw not just personal betrayal, but professional opportunity. Robert's done this before, she confirmed, her manicured nails drumming against her desk. But this time, he picked the wrong people to betray. The commission splitting alone. I can destroy his career with this. David outlined his plan. Sandra's eyes lit up with predatory interest. La Maison Rouge, she mused. Their regular spot, according to your investigator. Yes, that could work. Thomas Reed owes me a favor. He'll help set the stage. The pieces fell into place with devastating precision. Jessica Henderson, upon learning of Katie's betrayal, pledged her full support. The luxury apartment complex contract, Katie and Robert's anticipated golden ticket, would become their downfall instead. David had the locks changed on a Tuesday. Frank, the locksmith, worked quickly and efficiently, adding an extra deadbolt at David's request. The packed suitcases waited upstairs, designer bags filled with everything Katie had bought since the affair began. A fitting touch, he thought. Let her keep the fruits of her betrayal. The stage was set. The players were in position. Now all that remained was the final act, the moment when Katie would realize just how completely her carefully constructed world was about to crumble. Chapter 2. The Perfect Setup. David prowled through his home office, reviewing each element of his plan with cold precision. The packed suitcases upstairs contained more than just clothing. They held evidence of lie, secret meeting, betrayal Katie had committed over the past months. Rebecca Torres's surveillance photos, hotel receipts, intercepted text messages, all meticulously organized and annotated. The phone on his desk buzzed with a message from Michael Torres, email account secured, all communication channels monitored. They won't be able to delete anything. David allowed himself a grim smile. Michael's expertise had proven invaluable, revealing a pattern of deception that went far beyond the affair. Katie and Robert's professional misconduct, the secret commission splitting, the manipulated listings, would destroy their careers as thoroughly as the affair would destroy their marriages. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Sandra Walsh entered, elegant and composed in her designer suit. The corporate lawyer carried a thick manila envelope. "Divorce papers," she announced, placing them on his desk. "Everything's in order. The prenuptial agreement makes it airtight. She won't get a penny more than she brought into the marriage." David examined the documents. "And Robert?" Sandra's perfectly painted lips curved into a predatory smile. "Oh, I have special plans for my dear husband. The evidence of professional misconduct is particularly damaging. The real estate board takes a very dim view of commission splitting. Jessica Henderson called this morning," David informed her. "She wants to meet before tonight." Perfect timing. Her testimony about Katie's ethical violations will be crucial. Sandra checked her watch. Speaking of timing, Thomas Reed confirmed the arrangements at La Maison Rouge. Everything's set for 8 o'clock. The restaurant had become an unexpected ally in their plan. Thomas Reed, the owner, had developed a particular disgust for Robert Walsh's behavior in his establishment. "He uses my wine cellar for his conquests," Thomas had spat during their private meeting. "Brings them through the kitchen entrance like common thieves." Not anymore. Tonight, he'll find every door locked except the main entrance. "Where you'll be waiting." A text from Rebecca Torres lit up David's phone. Subject 1 just purchased new dress from Nordstrom. Subject 2 confirmed dinner reservation. "They're sticking to the script," Sandra observed. "Overconfident." "That's good." David moved to the window, watching the construction site across the street. The Henderson project, what should have been his and Katie's crowning achievement together. Now it would become a monument to her downfall. "Mr. Miller?" His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Ms. Henderson is here." Jessica Henderson swept into the office moments later, radiating the confidence of a woman accustomed to commanding rooms. Her expression softened with sympathy when she saw David. "I've spoken with the board," she announced without preamble. "The apartment complex contract, it's yours. Not just the construction. Everything. Development, marketing, sales. All of it." David raised an eyebrow. Katie and Robert were counting on that contract. They should have thought of that before betraying everyone who trusted them. Jessica's voice carried years of mentorship turned to ash. "I gave Katie her start in this business. Taught her everything she knows. And this is how she repays loyalty." "The timing works perfectly," Sandra interjected. "When the contract news breaks tomorrow morning, they'll have nothing left to salvage." Jessica nodded approvingly. "I've already informed the other investors. They're solidly behind David. After tonight, Katie and Robert won't find a single ally in this industry." The pieces of their plan locked into place with the satisfaction of a vault door sealing shut. David had learned construction from his father, but James Miller had taught him something far more valuable: the importance of building on solid foundations. Tonight would reveal just how hollow Katie's foundations had become. The afternoon wore on. David maintained his usual routine: site inspections, contractor meetings, client calls. To anyone watching, it appeared to be just another busy day at Miller Construction. Only Mitch knew different. "The crew's finishing up at the Henderson site," his foreman reported. "You sure you want to go through with this?" David's expression hardened. "You've known me 20 years, Mitch. When have I ever backed down from what needs to be done?" "Never," Mitch admitted. "That's what worries me. Just don't let this consume you, man." I watched my old man eat himself alive with revenge after my mom left. It's a bitter meal. This isn't just revenge, David corrected him. This is justice. For my father's memory, for Sandra's dignity, for Jessica's trust. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. At 6 o'clock, Rebecca's surveillance van took position near their house. Michael Torres confirmed all digital monitoring systems were in place. Sandra departed for La Maison Rouge, where she would wait with Thomas Reed for the perfect moment to confront her husband. David returned home early, knowing Katie would expect him to be working late as usual. The house felt different now. No longer a home, but a stage set for the final act of their marriage. He moved through the rooms with deliberate purpose, ensuring everything was in its place. The suitcases waited by the bedroom door. The divorce papers lay ready on his desk. The evidence of Katie's betrayal, personal and professional, filled a leather portfolio in his briefcase. No detail had been overlooked, no contingency ignored. At precisely 5:30, right on schedule, he heard Katie's car pull into the driveway. David positioned himself in the kitchen, maintaining the illusion of normalcy for a few moments more. The sound of her heels on the tile, the rustle of shopping bags, the scent of new perfume, all part of her carefully constructed deception. David, her voice carried up the stairs, filled with artificial brightness. I have something special planned for tonight. I think we need this. He descended slowly, savoring these final moments before her world imploded. Katie stood at the bottom of the stairs, wearing a black dress he'd never seen before. Her smile faltered when she saw his expression. Going somewhere? He gestured to her outfit, noting the way she shifted uncomfortably. I thought we could have dinner at La Maison Rouge, she suggested, trying to recapture her confident tone. Remember our anniversary dinner there? David remembered more than she realized. The security footage Thomas Reed had provided showed Katie slipping into the wine cellar that night, emerging 20 minutes after Robert Walsh. Their special anniversary dinner had been just another opportunity for betrayal. Sounds perfect, he replied, watching her shoulders relax. But first, there's something you should see upstairs. He led her to their bedroom, her former bedroom now. The closet stood open, revealing empty spaces where her clothes had been. The packed suitcases waited by the door, a visual representation of her duplicity. David, what? I know about Robert. His voice remained quiet, controlled, deadly. I know about the lunches, the hotel meetings, everything. Katie's face transformed as realization dawned. Shock, denial, fear cycling rapidly across her features. David, please, I can explain. Save it for Robert's wife. She's waiting for you both at the restaurant. He held up his phone, displaying Sandra's confirmation text. Your reservation's in 20 minutes. Better hurry. You know how Robert hates to be kept waiting. Outside, Rebecca Torres documented everything from her surveillance van. Michael monitored their digital communications, ensuring nothing could be deleted or hidden. The trap had sprung perfectly, leaving no avenue of escape. Katie's composure shattered completely. She reached for him, manicured nails grasping at his shirt. David, listen to me. It's not what you think. Robert and I are finished. He cut her off. Professionally and personally. The Henderson contract? Jessica's given it to me. All of it. The real estate board knows about your commission splitting, your ethical violations. Everything. Katie stumbled backward, gripping the doorframe for support. You can't prove. I have proof of everything. David opened his briefcase, spreading photographs across the bed. Meeting. Hotel. Deal you made behind your firm's back. Rebecca Torres is very thorough. You had me investigated? Katie's voice rose with indignation. Like you had the right to play victim here? David's laugh held no humor. Check your phone, your emails, your secret accounts. Michael Torres is quite skilled at digital forensics. Nothing's been deleted, and nothing will be. As if on cue, Katie's phone buzzed. She grabbed it desperately, fingers shaking as she tried to access her messages. The screen remained locked, her password no longer working. That's illegal, she protested. So is violating real estate commission regulations. David moved toward the door. Sandra's got quite a case built against you and Robert. She's very motivated to see you both pay for your betrayal. Katie's composure crumbled entirely. Tears streaked her expensive makeup as reality set in. What do you want? Money? The house? I want nothing from you. David's voice turned glacial. The prenup's ironclad. The money you made from your illegal deals? That's all you'll have left. Fitting, don't you think? A car horn sounded outside. Rebecca's signal that Robert had just parked at La Maison Rouge. Right on schedule. Your lover's waiting, David reminded her. Wouldn't want to disappoint him. Though I suspect finding his wife there might dampen the mood. Katie rushed to the window, watching Rebecca's surveillance van with dawning horror. How long? Long enough. Did you really think you could fool me forever? That I wouldn't notice the changes? The new clothes, the passwords, the late meetings? David picked up one of her packed suitcases. Here, I've made it easy for you. Everything you bought since the affair began. Consider it severance pay. Chapter 3. The Fall. The next hour unfolded exactly as David had planned. Katie's desperate attempts to contact Robert went unanswered. Michael's digital interference ensuring their communication blackout. Her increasingly frantic calls to her real estate office met similar silence. Jessica Henderson had already informed the partners of their misconduct. David watched from his study as Katie paced the foyer, her perfect world disintegrating around her. The designer dress she'd bought for her rendezvous now seemed to mock her, a costume for a play that had ended abruptly. The car's waiting, he informed her coldly. Unless you'd prefer to explain yourself to the real estate board tomorrow morning. I hear they're particularly interested in those commission splits you arranged with Robert. A black sedan idled outside, another piece of Rebecca's meticulous planning. The driver, an associate of hers, would ensure Katie reached La Maison Rouge exactly on schedule. Sandra Walsh's timing had to be perfect. David, please, Katie tried one last time. 15 years of marriage. Doesn't that mean anything? It meant everything, he corrected her. Until you decided my father's funeral was a good time to start sleeping with Robert. Yes, I know about that too. Rebecca's very thorough with her timelines. The color drained from Katie's face. That revelation, the depths of her betrayal laid bare, finally silenced her protests. She grabbed the suitcases with trembling hands. What happens now? She whispered. Now? David checked his watch. Now you go face the consequences of your choices. Sandra's quite looking forward to discussing your relationship with her husband. Katie's exit from their home marked the end of 15 years of shared life. David watched through the window as she climbed into the waiting car, designer suitcases loaded into the trunk. Rebecca's surveillance van followed discreetly as they pulled away. His phone buzzed with updates from their co-conspirators. Subject en route. ETA 15 minutes. Rebecca. Everything ready here. Sandra's in position. Thomas Reed. Digital lockdown complete. All evidence secured. Michael Torres. David allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. Months of planning, of maintaining his facade while gathering evidence, had led to this moment. Katie and Robert thought they'd been so clever, so discreet with their affair. They never suspected the depth of the trap they'd walked into. His phone rang. Jessica Henderson calling for an update. It's done, he reported. She's on her way to the restaurant. Good. Jessica's satisfaction carried clearly through the line. The board members are prepared for tomorrow's emergency meeting. Their licenses won't survive this scandal. And the Henderson project? The contracts are being revised as we speak. By this time tomorrow, Miller Construction will control the entire development. Quite a successful evening's work, I'd say. David moved through the house, noting the spaces Katie's betrayal had tainted. The kitchen, where they'd hosted countless dinner parties, now seemed stripped of warmth. The living room, where they'd weathered storms together, felt hollow. Each room held memories that had been transformed into evidence of her deception. Mitch texted, "Construction crews finished at Henderson's site. Need anything else tonight, boss?" "No," David replied, "but be ready tomorrow. We're taking over the entire project." His phone buzzed again, this time with a video message from Thomas Reed. The restaurant's security feed showed Sandra Walsh confronting Robert, her voice carrying clearly through the crowded dining room. Katie's arrival, moments later, completed the public spectacle of their exposure. Rebecca's report followed shortly. Mission accomplished. both subjects thoroughly compromised. Mrs. Walsh's performance was particularly effective. David poured himself a scotch, his father's preferred drink. James Miller had always preached the importance of integrity, of building things that would last. Katie's betrayal hadn't just destroyed their marriage. It had disrespected everything his father had stood for. The final texts of the evening arrived in quick succession. All digital evidence forwarded to the real estate board. Michael. Divorce papers filed. They won't know what hit them. Sandra. Surveillance concluding. Full report tomorrow. Rebecca. David stood at his office window, watching the city lights below. The Henderson Project skeletal structure rose against the skyline. No longer a symbol of his shared success with Katie, but a monument to her downfall. Tomorrow, construction would continue under his sole direction. The empire he'd built would grow stronger, while Katie and Robert's carefully constructed world of lies crumbled to dust. His phone buzzed one last time. A message from Katie. "You've destroyed everything?" "No," he typed back, his first and final response. "You did that yourself." David deleted her number, then turned off his phone. Act 1 of their story had reached its conclusion. Katie's betrayal had taught him a valuable lesson. Trust, once broken, could never be repaired. But power, properly wielded, could reshape the world. Chapter 4. Ripples in Still Water. The Henderson Project dominated the skyline, its steel beams rising like a monument to broken trust. David Miller stood at the construction site's entrance, watching crews position massive support columns. 6 weeks had passed since that night at La Maison Rouge, yet the satisfaction of revenge burned as bright as acetylene torches. "Morning, boss," Mitch called out, approaching with 2 coffee cups. "You're here early." Again. David accepted the coffee without turning. Updates. Foundations solid. Ahead of schedule on the East Wing. Mitch paused, studying his friend's profile. "But that's not why you're here at 5 a.m. The work matters." "The work's always mattered. But you're pushing too hard." Mitch stepped closer, lowering his voice despite the construction noise. "When's the last time you slept more than 4 hours? David's grip tightened on the coffee cup. "I don't need a nursemaid, Mitch." "No, you need a friend willing to tell you the truth." Mitch held his ground. "You're here before dawn, leave after dark. The crew's starting to talk. Let them talk. They're worried about you." "Hell, I'm worried about you." Mitch turned to face him directly. "Katie's gone. You won. But you're acting like..." "Like what?" David's voice carried a dangerous edge. "Like a man still fighting a war that's already over." Before David could respond, Jessica Henderson's Mercedes pulled into the construction site. She emerged wearing an impeccably tailored suit, her presence commanding attention even amid the industrial chaos. "David," she approached with purposeful strides, "we need to discuss the penthouse specifications. And I've brought someone you should meet." A second woman exited the Mercedes, tall, professional, radiating quiet confidence. Jessica gestured her forward. "Amanda Pierce. The designer I mentioned." Jessica's smile held genuine warmth. "She's transformed half the luxury properties in the city. I think you'll find her ideas intriguing." David assessed Amanda with a businessman's practiced eye. Her portfolio, which Jessica had shared earlier, showed innovative vision. But it was her direct gaze, unflinching under his scrutiny, that caught his attention. "Mr. Miller." Amanda extended her hand. "I've studied your work. You understand structure. Not just buildings, but spaces that shape how people live. I'd like to show you how we could elevate that vision." "My office," David decided. 2 hours. Amanda nodded crisply. "I'll bring the renderings." As she returned to the Mercedes, Jessica lingered. "She's the best in the business." And she glanced meaningfully at David. "She's nothing like Katie." David's expression hardened. "Katie is irrelevant." "Is she?" Jessica's voice softened with concern. "Because you're here at dawn, driving yourself and your crew to exhaustion. That's not the David Miller who built this company. The David Miller who built this company trusted too easily. And now you trust no one?" Jessica shook her head. "That's not strength, David. That's fear." He turned to her sharply, but Jessica held up a hand. "You're not the only one Katie betrayed. She was my protege. I staked my reputation on her. But I won't let that betrayal poison everything I build next. Is that why you brought Amanda Pierce here? I brought her because she's brilliant at what she does. And because the Henderson Project deserves the best. Jessica straightened her jacket. What you do with that opportunity is your choice. She departed, leaving David to contemplate the rising structure before him. Mitch remained silent, understanding his friend needed space to process. David's phone buzzed. A message from Rebecca Torres. Meeting requested. New information about Walsh. The investigator's office maintained its stark professionalism. Rebecca sat behind her desk, a fresh file open before her. Robert Walsh is getting desperate, she reported without preamble. He tried accessing your company records through a former employee last night. David's expression didn't change. Name? James Chun. Junior accountant you fired last year. Rebecca slid a surveillance photo across the desk. Walsh offered him $10,000 for password access. Chun accepted? No. He came to us instead. Rebecca's smile held professional satisfaction. Said he'd rather have a clear conscience than quick cash. Walsh didn't take the rejection well. David absorbed this information, mind already calculating responses. Increase surveillance. I want to know everyone Walsh contacts. Already done. Michael's monitoring his digital footprint. Rebecca hesitated. There's more. Katie's been making calls. To whom? Your father's old customers. Suppliers. Anyone connected to Miller Construction's early days. Rebecca's voice softened slightly. She's trying to find leverage. David's laugh held no humor. She won't find any. My father ran a clean business. It's not about finding real dirt. Rebecca leaned forward. It's about creating doubt, planting seeds of suspicion. Walsh is teaching her his tricks. Then they'll learn together what happens to people who try to harm what my father built. David stood. Keep watching. Record everything. David. Rebecca's use of his first name made him pause. Be careful. Desperate people are unpredictable. He left without responding, mind already formulating plans. The Henderson Project would be his masterpiece, not just a building, but a statement. Each floor, each luxury apartment would stand as testament to what happens when you betray David Miller. Back at the construction site, Amanda Pierce waited with her designs. The conference room table disappeared under sophisticated renderings and material samples. The penthouses need statement pieces, she explained, gesturing to a particularly striking design. Not just luxury, but innovation. Something that makes people forget everything that came before. David studied the renderings, noting the attention to detail, the subtle integration of form and function. These would add 30% to the budget and triple the return on investment. Amanda met his gaze steadily. Jessica Henderson says you understand value beyond mere numbers. Jessica Henderson talks too much. Jessica Henderson knows talent. Amanda's voice carried quiet confidence. Like she knew you'd understand what these designs could mean for the Henderson Project's reputation. David picked up a material sample, Italian marble with unique veining. Why this project? Because it matters. Amanda stepped closer, pointing to specific design elements. This isn't just another luxury building. This is a statement about rising above, about creating something extraordinary from betrayal. He looked at her sharply. She didn't flinch. Yes, I know about Katie. This industry runs on gossip. Amanda's expression remained professional. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because you build things that last, Mr. Miller. I want to make them unforgettable. Their discussion extended beyond the scheduled time, delving into technical specifications and design philosophies. Amanda's expertise impressed him. She understood not just aesthetics, but engineering realities. I'll consider the proposals, he said finally. Amanda gathered her materials efficiently. Consider this, the Henderson Project will be your defining statement. Make it one worth remembering. After she left, David received another update from Rebecca. Walsh spotted meeting with former Henderson Project contractors, attempting to gather information about construction standards. A familiar cold rage settled over him. Walsh wasn't just trying to harm his business, he was attacking his father's legacy. The response would need to be decisive. He opened his laptop, accessing the files Michael Torres had compiled. Each document, each transaction, each communication between Katie and Walsh had been meticulously recorded. Their desperation was making them sloppy, creating opportunities. David picked up his phone, dialing Jessica Henderson. "The design changes," he said when she answered. "Approve them all." Jessica's smile carried through her voice. "Amanda Pierce convinced you? She understands what this project means." "Yes, she does." Jessica paused. "David, let her help. Not just with designs. She's built something remarkable from her own setbacks." "I don't need." "You need allies who understand the long game," Jessica interrupted. "Amanda does. Don't let Katie and Walsh's betrayal blind you to new opportunities." David ended the call, turning to watch the construction through his office window. The Henderson project rose steadily, each beam and girder a piece of his calculated response to betrayal. His phone buzzed again. Mitch, requesting approval for additional crews to handle the enhanced designs. David authorized the expenses without hesitation. The project would become his masterpiece of revenge, a monument to what happens when you cross David Miller. The sun climbed higher, but David remained at his desk, reviewing proposals and making calls. The work consumed him, pushing away thoughts of empty houses and broken trust. Here, surrounded by plans and contracts, he could focus on what mattered, building something stronger than betrayal. Chapter 5. New Foundations. Amanda Pierce's proposal transformed the Miller construction offices within weeks. The sleek conference room buzzed with energy as she presented her vision for a merged company to David's executive team. "The market demands innovation," she explained, commanding attention without effort. "Miller and Pierce Developments won't just build luxury properties. We'll create complete lifestyle experiences," David observed from the head of the table, noting how his team leaned forward, engaged by her confidence and clarity. The numbers backed her vision. Her design firm's portfolio showed consistent growth and a prestigious client list. "Questions?" Amanda concluded, meeting each executive's gaze. Marcus Chin, David's head of operations, raised his hand. "Integration timeline?" 30 days. Amanda's response carried no hesitation. "My team's ready. We've already coordinated with Jessica Henderson's investors." "Ambitious," Marcus noted. "Necessary," David cut in. "The Henderson project launches our new brand. Timing matters." The meeting continued, diving into technical details and logistics. Throughout the discussion, David noticed Amanda's subtle leadership style, direct without aggression, confident without arrogance. Different from Katie's manipulative charm. "One more thing," Amanda announced as the meeting concluded. "I've identified several top agents from competing firms who are interested in joining us, including 3 from Katie's former office." David's interest sharpened. Names? Sarah Chun, Michael Rodriguez, and James Foster. Amanda slid a folder across the table. "They're tired of office politics and ready for something new. Their client lists would significantly expand our reach." The implications hung in the air. Recruiting Katie's former colleagues would be a precise strike at her dwindling professional network. After the others left, Amanda remained. "You're planning something bigger than just a merger." "Meaning?" "The agents I suggested, they're not just good at their jobs. They're specifically the ones Katie relied on most." Amanda met his gaze directly. "I did my research." David studied her, reassessing. "Why help me with this?" "Because I recognize calculated revenge when I see it." Amanda's professional mask slipped slightly, revealing steel beneath. "My ex-husband tried to destroy my firm during our divorce. I rebuilt it stronger, took his clients, and made him irrelevant." Understanding passed between them. Amanda wasn't just a potential business partner. She was someone who understood the satisfaction of rising from betrayal. "The merger announcement goes out tomorrow," David decided. "Have your team ready." The next weeks passed in a blur of activity. Amanda's efficiency matched David's own drive. The new company took shape with remarkable speed, each decision calculated for maximum impact. Michael Torres integrated their digital systems, ensuring seamless communication while maintaining ironclad security. Walsh tried another breach attempt, he reported one evening. More sophisticated this time. Source: a cyber cafe across town. "He's getting sloppy." Michael's grin held predatory satisfaction, left digital fingerprints all over it. I've documented everything for Rebecca's files. The investigators' reports showed increasing desperation from both Katie and Walsh. Their small independent operation struggled to maintain clients, especially after news of the Miller and Pierce merger broke. They're hemorrhaging money, Rebecca detailed during their weekly meeting. Walsh tried approaching Jessica Henderson's investors. Got shut down hard. Sandra Walsh, now serving as the merged company's legal counsel, added her own insights. Robert's pattern is consistent with his previous failures. When legitimate options close, he turns to sabotage. David absorbed their reports, mind already calculating next moves. The merger's success exceeded projections, drawing attention throughout the industry. Each headline about Miller and Pierce developments drove another nail into Katie and Walsh's professional coffin. Amanda proved invaluable, her industry connections opening doors that had previously been closed to him. She understood the social aspects of their business, the importance of perception and presentation. The Henderson project generating massive interest, she reported during a late strategy session. The waiting list for penthouse units keeps growing. David reviewed the numbers. Increased the prices 20%. Already done. Amanda matched his ruthless business instincts. I also leaked details about our sustainable luxury features to the press. The contrast with standard developments, like the ones Katie and Walsh are trying to sell, is quite striking. Their professional dynamic settled into comfortable efficiency. Amanda's presence made the office feel alive again, filled with purpose beyond mere revenge. She challenged his ideas, pushed for innovation, demanded excellence. You're different, Mitch observed one day, watching Amanda coordinate with the construction crews. Less what? Less consumed. Mitch chose his words carefully. The work matters again, not just the payback. David didn't respond, but later that night, reviewing project files in his office, he acknowledged the truth in Mitch's words. The anger still burned, but it had evolved into something more productive, determination to build something unprecedented. Chapter 6. The Countermove. Robert Walsh's desperation manifested in increasingly bold attempts to undermine Miller and Pierce developments. Rumors began circulating about construction standards at the Henderson project, whispered insinuations about cut corners and compromised safety. He's getting reckless, Rebecca Torres warned during an emergency meeting. My sources say he's approaching building inspectors, trying to find weak points. David remained outwardly calm, but his voice carried lethal intent. Evidence? Michael intercepted emails. Rebecca passed her tablet across the desk. He's promising kickbacks for any violations they can find. Stupid mistake. Left a digital trail. Amanda, who had joined their inner circle of conspirators, studied the emails. This is good. Good. Mitch questioned. He's crossed a line. Amanda's smile held no warmth. Attempting to bribe officials? That's not just unethical. It's illegal. David nodded, understanding her direction. Sandra? Already preparing the documentation, their legal counsel confirmed. The real estate board takes these allegations very seriously, especially given his previous pattern of misconduct. The counterattack took shape with precision. Jessica Henderson stepped forward first, publicly praising the Henderson project's exceptional standards. Her reputation in the industry carried weight, drawing attention to Walsh's desperate accusations. We need to handle this definitively, Amanda argued during a strategy session. Not just defend, destroy. David regarded her with newfound appreciation. Suggestions? Thomas Reed's security footage. Amanda leaned forward, eyes intense. Not just from the night we exposed them. All of it. Show Walsh's pattern with other women at La Maison Rouge. Create doubt about everything he says. The plan expanded, incorporating input from their various allies. Michael Torres traced Walsh's digital harassment campaign. Sandra compiled documentation of his previous ethical violations. Rebecca's surveillance revealed increasingly erratic behavior. He's unraveling, Rebecca reported. Started drinking during the day. Katie's trying to handle their clients alone, but she's losing them fast. David watched the destruction of their professional reputations with cold satisfaction. The Henderson project rose steadily, each floor a monument to his response to betrayal. Walsh's desperate accusations fell flat against the reality of Miller and Pierce's success. "There's more," Amanda announced one evening, entering David's office with fresh intelligence. "Remember those agents we hired from Katie's old firm? They've been sharing stories." Apparently, Walsh's pattern of workplace manipulation goes back years. The information proved devastating. Former colleagues came forward, describing Walsh's predatory behavior patterns. Katie's involvement, her willingness to participate in his schemes, painted her as equally culpable. Industry response proved swift. Clients abandoned their fledgling agency in droves. The luxury real estate community, built on reputation and trust, closed ranks against them. "They're finished," Jessica Henderson declared with satisfaction. "No one will work with them after this." But David knew better than to underestimate desperate people. Walsh's next move proved predictably vicious. He attempted to access Miller and Pierce's financial records through a disgruntled former employee. "James Chen." Rebecca identified the target. "Junior accountant you fired last year." Walsh offered him money for password access. David's response was immediate and ruthless. Chun received a cease and desist letter from Sandra Walsh, coupled with evidence that his meeting with Walsh had been documented. The message was clear. Cooperation with enemies of Miller and Pierce would have severe consequences. "Walsh is running out of options," Amanda observed, reviewing the latest reports. "He's burning through their savings, losing clients daily." Katie's trying to distance herself, but it's too late. The observation sparked an idea. David gathered his inner circle: Amanda, Rebecca, Michael, Sandra, and Jessica, for a strategic discussion. "We've been targeting them as a unit," he began. "Time to separate them." Amanda caught on first. "Drive a wedge. Make Katie realize Walsh is dragging her down." "Exactly." David's smile held no mercy. "Let's show her exactly who she chose over 15 years of marriage." The plan unfolded with devastating efficiency. Evidence of Walsh's previous affairs emerged mysteriously. His pattern of using women for professional gain became public knowledge. Katie found herself not just professionally ruined, but publicly humiliated. Their small agency's collapse seemed inevitable. Walsh's increasingly desperate attempts to salvage his reputation only accelerated their downfall. The contrast with Miller and Pierce's soaring success proved especially bitter. David watched it all from his office at the Henderson project site. The betrayal that had driven him to this point had transformed into something more, a complete reinvention of his company and himself. Amanda joined him one evening, surveying the construction progress. "We've created something remarkable here." "We have," David agreed, noting how naturally she fit into the space beside him. Her presence had become a constant, her strength and vision complementing his own. The sun set behind the rising structure of the Henderson project, but David Miller's revenge was far from complete. Act 2 had transformed his pain into power, his betrayal into empire. But the final reckoning still awaited. Chapter 7. Check and Mate. Miller and Pierce developments dominated the city's luxury real estate market, a testament to calculated revenge served cold. David sat in his office, reviewing Michael Torres's latest intelligence report on Robert Walsh's desperate machinations. "He's getting sloppy," Michael explained, pointing to specific data points. "Accessing our servers through compromised accounts, leaving digital fingerprints. Amateur mistakes." David's expression remained impassive. "Show me." Michael pulled up a network trace on his laptop. 3 attempts last week to breach our project files. Each time from different locations, but same signature. Walsh is using public networks, thinking it makes him untraceable. And Katie? Still with him, but the strange showing. They've lost 6 major listings this month alone. Their operating capital's nearly depleted. Amanda Pierce entered without knocking. She'd earned that privilege. The real estate board called. They want to discuss Walsh's license review. David turned to Michael. "Send them everything. All of it." Michael raised an eyebrow. "Even the La Maison Rouge footage?" "Especially that." David's voice carried lethal certainty. "Time to end this." Amanda settled into a chair, tablet ready. "I've compiled documentation of his pattern across 3 states. Previous affairs, failed ventures, ethical violations. Rebecca's investigation was thorough. Sandra's prepared the legal framework, she continued. The board won't just suspend his license. They'll make an example of him. David absorbed this information, mind calculating next moves. Their clients. Already jumping ship. Amanda's smile held satisfaction. That feature in luxury living about our sustainable design approach hit them hard. Nobody wants to list with a struggling agency when Miller and Pierce offers innovation. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Miller? Jessica Henderson's here. Jessica swept in, radiating controlled anger. Walsh approached my investors again. Tried selling them on some desperate scheme about boutique properties. Names? David demanded. Marcus Chun and William Roberts. Jessica's disgust showed clearly. They shut him down, of course. But he's getting reckless, making wild accusations about the Henderson Project's construction standards. David's phone lit up with a text from Rebecca. Target spotted meeting former contractors. Gathering evidence for smear campaign. Perfect, David murmured. Amanda caught his tone. You wanted this. Walsh is predictable. Push him hard enough. He makes mistakes. David turned to Michael. Those server access attempts, you track them? IP addresses, timestamps, duration of each attempt? Michael's grin turned predatory. Corporate espionage charges would stick. Send everything to Sandra. She'll know how to use it. The pieces aligned with brutal precision. Walsh's desperate attacks provided the perfect opportunity to deliver the killing stroke to his career. Rebecca Torres arrived an hour later, carrying fresh surveillance photos. They're fighting constantly now. Katie's realizing the truth about him, but it's too late. Show me. The photos revealed Walsh's deteriorating state, rumpled clothes, day drinking at cheap bars, aggressive confrontations with former colleagues. Katie appeared in several shots, trying to salvage client meetings alone while Walsh spiraled. She's approaching old contacts, Rebecca reported, trying to distance herself from him, but his reputation's poisoned her too. David examined a particular photo. Katie leaving a bank, desperation clear in her posture. Financial status? Nearly broke. Rebecca checked her notes. Walsh is spinning through their reserves, making risky investments trying to recover. Katie's name is on those accounts too. When they collapse, she goes down with him. David's satisfaction showed briefly. Good. Amanda studied him. You planned this from the beginning, letting them stay together, watching them destroy each other. Walsh's pattern was clear. He discards women when they're no longer useful. But Katie, David's voice hardened. Katie chose him. She can share his fate. The real estate board meeting was scheduled for the following week. Sandra Walsh prepared their presentation with meticulous detail, combining financial records, surveillance evidence, and witness testimonies into a devastating case. The board members are particularly interested in the proof of commission splitting, she reported during their final strategy session. That alone would justify license revocation. Add the corporate espionage attempts. What about Katie? Amanda asked. Her license? Guilty by association. Sandra's smile held no warmth. She knowingly participated in Walsh's schemes. The board won't show mercy. David surveyed his assembled team. Amanda, Michael, Rebecca, Sandra, and Jessica. Each had played their part in this elaborate revenge, driven by their own motivations but united in purpose. Tomorrow, he announced, we end this. The real estate board convened in their downtown offices, 12 industry veterans prepared to pass judgment. Walsh arrived looking confident, Katie beside him showing strain beneath her professional facade. Sandra presented their evidence with devastating efficiency. Screenshots of illegal access attempts, documentation of commission splitting, testimonies from former colleagues about Walsh's predatory behavior. The La Maison Rouge security footage proved particularly damning. Mr. Walsh has demonstrated a pattern of ethical violations spanning multiple states, Sandra concluded. His recent attempts to undermine competitors through false accusations and corporate espionage show he remains a threat to industry integrity. Walsh's rebuttal appeared rehearsed, defensive. These accusations are baseless. Miller's vendetta? Are these baseless too? Sandra interrupted, displaying Walsh's electronic footprints from the server breach attempts. Your digital signature is quite distinctive, Mr. Walsh. Katie sat silent, watching her future crumble. When Walsh attempted to blame her for the commission splitting, she finally broke. "It was his idea," she blurted. "All of it. The deals, the cover-ups. He said everyone did it." Walsh turned on her with sudden fury. "You agreed. You knew exactly what we were doing." The board members exchanged glances. Their decision required minimal deliberation. Robert Walsh, the chairman, announced, "Your license is permanently revoked. Evidence of your activities will be shared with boards in other states." He turned to Katie. "Ms. Miller, your participation in these schemes leaves us no choice. Your license is suspended indefinitely." David watched from the back of the room as their professional lives ended. Walsh stormed out, leaving Katie to face the consequences alone, a fitting parallel to their personal choices. Rebecca's surveillance team tracked Walsh to an airport the next day. "One-way ticket to Phoenix," she reported, leaving Katie to deal with their debts. "Monitor his departure," David instructed. "I want confirmation he's gone." The final phase of his revenge played out over the following weeks. Katie's attempts to salvage anything from the wreckage proved futile. Their joint accounts were drained, their business assets worthless. Jessica Henderson's investment group acquired their failed agencies' remains at auction. "Poetic justice," she noted. Their last client contracts now belong to Miller and Pierce. Chapter 8. The Fall of the House of Cards. The collapse of Katie and Robert's world accelerated with brutal efficiency. Their office space, a modest suite in a downtown building, stood empty within days of the board's decision. David watched from his car as Katie carried out the last box, her designer clothes now wrinkled, her confident posture broken. "Latest report," Rebecca said, sliding into the passenger seat. Walsh cleared out their accounts before he left. Katie's facing collection notices for their business debts. David's expression remained stone. "The apartment? Eviction notice posted yesterday. She's got nowhere to go." Walsh's previous victims warned all their contacts about her involvement in his schemes. Amanda Pierce coordinated the final blow. Miller and Pierce Developments purchased the building housing their failed agency, a calculated move that transformed their former business location into a monument to their destruction. "The renovation plans are ready," Amanda announced during their morning meeting. "We'll turn it into our new headquarters. Modern design, sustainable features. Everything their operation lacked." David studied the blueprints with cold satisfaction. "Timeline: 3 months. Amanda matched his businesslike tone. "We'll showcase it during the Industry Expo." Jessica Henderson's already arranged media coverage. Sandra Walsh arrived with updates on Walsh's departure. "He's surfaced in Phoenix, trying to rebuild. But I've made sure his reputation traveled faster than he did." Explain. Anonymous tips to local real estate boards. Sandra's smile held professional pride. Details about his pattern of misconduct, the license revocation, the corporate espionage attempts. "He won't work in this industry again." Katie's desperate attempts to contact David grew more frequent. Voice messages, emails, even handwritten letters delivered to his office. Each one documented, none answered. "She's trying different approaches now," Rebecca reported. "Reaching out to your father's old friends, claiming she wants to apologize for betraying his memory." "Send the footage," David ordered. The surveillance video from his father's funeral played on Rebecca's tablet. Katie and Walsh meeting in the church parking lot, their intimate behavior a desecration of David's grief. The timestamp proved their affair had started before James Miller's death. "I've arranged a special delivery," Amanda said. The video, plus documentation of their commission-splitting schemes dating back to that period, let her know exactly why she'll never receive forgiveness. The evidence package arrived at Katie's new address, a small apartment on the city's outskirts, the same day Walsh's abandonment made local business news. The timing, like everything in David's revenge, was precisely calculated. Jessica Henderson provided the final touch. Her investment group acquired the remains of Katie and Robert's business assets at auction, absorbing their client list into Miller and Pierce Developments. "They built nothing lasting," Jessica observed during the signing. "No loyal clients, no solid foundations. Just schemes and betrayals." David's new headquarters took shape rapidly. Amanda's design transformed the space, erasing all traces of its former occupants. The contrast between Miller and Pierce's soaring success and Katie's downfall grew sharper each day. We should celebrate properly, Amanda suggested. Make it a statement. The launch party for the new headquarters was held at La Maison Rouge. Thomas Reed orchestrated the event with understanding of its symbolic significance. The city's business elite attended, eager to align themselves with Miller and Pierce's rising star. Katie watched from across the street as guests arrived, her presence noted by Rebecca's surveillance team. She'd lost weight, her designer clothes replaced by department store basics. The contrast with the arriving guests proved stark. She tried to crash the party, Rebecca reported later. Thomas Reed's security stopped her. She was crying, making a scene about needing to explain. David received this news without reaction. Status update? Moving to her sister's place in another state. The eviction notice became final, and Walsh's financial betrayal left her without options. The party marked their triumph. Industry leaders praised Miller and Pierce's innovative approach. Jessica Henderson's investment group announced new projects. Amanda Pierce's design vision earned accolades. David surveyed the celebration from a private corner. The revenge he'd crafted had exceeded mere personal satisfaction. It had built an empire. Chapter 9. Dawn. 1 year passed since the night David exposed Katie's betrayal. The Henderson project gleamed against the skyline, its luxury apartments fully occupied. Miller and Pierce developments had become the industry standard for excellence. David's office in the converted building offered views of his expanding empire. Each success, each new project erased more traces of Katie's existence in his world. Amanda entered with their latest acquisition plans. The Thompson contract's ready. Biggest deal yet. She hesitated, then added, Katie was seen at the bus station this morning, leaving town for good. David absorbed this information without visible reaction. The anger that had driven him for so long had transformed into something more refined. Absolute power over his domain. You've won, Amanda stated simply. Completely. She was right. Walsh was a ruined man in Phoenix, his attempts to rebuild blocked at every turn. Katie had lost everything: career, reputation, future. Their betrayal had cost them far more than they'd hoped to gain. The Thompson contract represented new opportunities, expansion beyond mere revenge. Miller and Pierce's success had grown beyond David's original vision. We should mark the occasion, Amanda suggested. Dinner, perhaps? Not La Maison Rouge. Somewhere new? David studied her. Strong, loyal, ruthlessly efficient. She'd proven herself a true partner in business and revenge. The new Italian place by the river, he decided. Amanda smiled. Perfect. Fresh start. New chapter. The sun set behind the Henderson building as they left the office. David carried no reminders of Katie now, no traces of the past. He'd built something stronger from the ashes of betrayal. In his desk drawer, the old wedding photo remained as a warning, not a wound. Beside it lay a new image, the Miller and Pierce team at their headquarters launch. It showed victors, not victims. The lesson was clear. Cross David Miller, and he wouldn't just destroy you. He'd erase you, replace you, and build an empire from your ruin. His revenge was complete, but his ambition stretched beyond. The city's skyline awaited more monuments to his power. Tomorrow would bring new projects, new opportunities. David Miller had transformed betrayal into empire. The past was settled. The future belonged to those who understood the price of crossing him. The Italian restaurant offered views of his buildings rising against the darkening sky. Amanda raised her glass in a silent toast. David accepted the gesture with the satisfaction of a man who had crafted destruction into creation. Some would call it revenge. He called it justice. The end justified his means. The empire proved his methods. And the ruins of those who betrayed him served as foundations for his rising power. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to demonstrate his strength. But tonight, David Miller allowed himself to savor victory, not just over Katie and Walsh, but over weakness itself. He had emerged stronger, more ruthless, more successful. The betrayal that could have broken him had instead forged him into something unstoppable. The city lights reflected his triumph. Miller and Pierce developments would continue to grow, each success a reminder of the price of treachery. David Miller had not just survived betrayal. He had transformed it into an empire built on the ruins of those who dared to cross him. Epilogue. 5 years later, David Miller's office occupied the top floor of Miller and Pierce Tower, the latest addition to his expanding real estate empire. The Henderson project, once the battleground of his revenge, now seemed modest compared to his current ventures. 3 additional towers rose across the city skyline, each more ambitious than the last. The Beijing investors are waiting in the conference room, Amanda Pierce Miller announced, her wedding ring catching the light as she handed him the latest contracts. Their marriage 2 years ago had merged more than just their companies. It had created an unstoppable force in the industry. Portfolio summary? David asked, reviewing the documents. 8 luxury developments across 3 continents. The Asian expansion you planned is ahead of schedule. Amanda's business acumen had only sharpened over the years. Jessica Henderson's investment group is fully committed. Jessica herself had semi-retired, but remained on their board of directors. Her mentorship of Katie, once a source of pain, had been replaced by strategic guidance of Miller and Pierce's global vision. Rebecca's latest report arrived, Amanda added, sliding a tablet across the desk. David opened the file, a habit he maintained despite the years. Rebecca Torres's surveillance firm had grown into a major security consulting agency, with Miller and Pierce as their primary client. Robert Walsh? He inquired, though he already knew the answer would satisfy him. Still in Phoenix. 3 failed attempts to restart his career, each one blocked by Sandra's legal team. He's working as a part-time real estate photographer now, barely making rent. The mighty Robert Walsh, reduced to photographing properties he once dreamed of selling. David allowed himself a moment of cold satisfaction. And Katie? Amanda pulled up specific details. Living with her sister in Minnesota. Working retail at a home decoration store. No attempts to renew her real estate license or contact industry connections. Their thorough destruction of Katie's professional life had become a cautionary tale in real estate circles. The woman who betrayed David Miller served as a warning to anyone contemplating crossing him. Mr. Miller? His assistant's voice came through the intercom. Michael Torres is here with the quarterly security briefing. Michael entered, now heading a cybersecurity division that protected more than just Miller and Pierce. His reputation for digital warfare had made him the go-to expert for corporations dealing with electronic threats. The new security protocols are active, he reported, bringing up detailed analytics. We've blocked 16 attempted breaches this quarter, traced back to competitors trying to access our development plans. David nodded approvingly. The lessons from Walsh's amateur hacking attempts had led to the creation of an impenetrable digital fortress. Rebecca's team? Working in conjunction with our systems. The physical and digital security integration is complete. Michael's pride showed clearly. No one accesses Miller and Pierce data without our knowledge. The empire David had built from the ashes of betrayal employed over 1,000 people across multiple subsidiaries. Miller and Pierce developments had expanded beyond luxury real estate into commercial properties, hotels, and exclusive residential communities. Sandra Walsh had transformed her legal practice into a powerhouse firm specializing in real estate law. Her handling of the Walsh case had attracted high-profile clients seeking ruthless representation. She now headed Miller and Pierce's legal department, her expertise ensuring their operations remained unassailable. The LA expansion plans are ready for review, Amanda noted, pulling up architectural renderings. The sustainable luxury features you insisted on have attracted significant pre-sales interest. Their business model had evolved far beyond David's original construction company. Each Miller and Pierce property incorporated cutting-edge sustainable technology, Amanda's innovative designs, and unparalleled security systems. Thomas Reed called. Amanda added, La Maison Rouge's anniversary gala is next month. He's reserved our usual private room. The restaurant had prospered alongside Miller and Pierce. Thomas had expanded to 3 locations, each one a testament to his loyalty during David's campaign of revenge. They maintained their business relationship, though David never dined in the wine cellar where Katie's betrayal had played out. Mitch entered without knocking, still the only person besides Amanda granted that privilege. Though he'd risen to chief operations officer, he remained David's most trusted friend. Construction updates, he announced. spreading site photos across the desk. All projects on schedule. The Dubai team sent preliminary foundation reports for the marina development. David examined the photos with practiced eye. Each project reflected the exacting standards James Miller had instilled in his son. The empire stood as a monument to his father's principles of integrity and quality. The James Miller Foundation scholarship recipients are confirmed, Amanda reported, referencing the educational trust David had established in his father's memory. 10 students entering construction and architectural programs this fall. The foundation represented more than mere philanthropy. It identified and supported talented individuals who shared James Miller's values, ensuring his legacy lived on through more than just buildings. Jessica Henderson's retirement party next week, Mitch reminded them. The industry's expecting a major announcement. David nodded. They would reveal Miller and Pierce's most ambitious project yet, a sustainable luxury community that would redefine urban living. The development would rise on land that once housed Katie and Walsh's failed agency, a final transformation of betrayal into triumph. Rebecca Torres arrived later that afternoon, her security firm's success evident in her confident bearing. Quarterly surveillance summary, she began, activating a secure presentation screen. The report detailed more than just updates on Katie and Walsh. Rebecca's team monitored potential threats, competitors, and industry trends. Their intelligence had helped Miller and Pierce stay ahead of market shifts and corporate espionage attempts. Walsh made one last attempt to enter real estate, she reported. Tried applying for an assistant position at a small agency in Scottsdale. Sandra's contacts ensured they knew his history. Katie's status? Unchanged. The home decoration store promoted her to shift supervisor last month. She's dating a local mechanic, lives in a rented duplex. No indication she's considering returning to real estate. David absorbed these details with detachment. The anger that had driven his revenge had long since cooled into something harder, an unshakable determination to maintain his empire's supremacy. The Thompson Industries merger is proceeding as planned, Amanda noted, changing topics. Their real estate holdings will integrate smoothly with our Asian expansion. The merger would make Miller and Pierce the largest luxury real estate developer in the Pacific Rim. Each successful deal moved them further from the personal drama that had sparked their creation. Yet David maintained his vigilant approach to betrayal. Security protocols? He asked Michael. Already implementing our systems in their networks. Full integration within 60 days. Michael's team had developed a reputation for swift, thorough digital takeovers. No vulnerabilities will survive the merger. The afternoon brought a visit from a potential client, a Saudi prince seeking to develop exclusive properties in Dubai. David watched Amanda handle the presentation with practiced grace. Their partnership, both personal and professional, had proven more powerful than any revenge. Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Miller, the prince commented. They say crossing you is unwise. David's smile held no warmth. They say many things. All true, I suspect. The prince gestured to the architectural renderings. I appreciate men who protect what's theirs. It speaks to strength of character. The meeting concluded with signed contracts worth billions. Miller and Pierce's reputation for excellence and retribution had spread far beyond their original territory. Evening found David and Amanda at their penthouse, reviewing plans for their next project. Their personal life maintained the same efficient partnership as their business dealings. No betrayal would ever breach their walls. Katie tried contacting Jessica. Amanda mentioned, reading from Rebecca's latest update. Wanted to apologize, perhaps seek help returning to the industry. Jessica's response? None required. The message never reached her. Amanda's tone held satisfaction. Our systems intercepted it automatically. Their digital fortress extended beyond corporate security. Anyone from their past seeking to re-establish contact faced automated barriers. The lessons of betrayal had been built into the very foundation of their empire. The Berlin Development Group confirmed tomorrow's meeting, Amanda noted, changing subjects. Their sustainable luxury proposal aligns with our expansion goals. David nodded, studying the city lights below. Each gleaming tower represented another victory, another step beyond the revenge that had launched their empire. Yet he maintained the same ruthless standards, the same intolerance for betrayal. Mitch's weekly report arrived via secure server. Construction updates, personnel changes, market analyses, all reflecting the empire's continued growth. The friendship that had exposed Katie's betrayal had evolved into an unshakable business partnership. "Remember when you were just building houses?" Mitch had asked recently, surveying their global operations center. "I remember everything," David had replied. Each betrayal, each victory, each step of his rise remained crystal clear. The empire he'd built from revenge now transcended its origins. Miller and Pierce Properties represented the pinnacle of luxury development. Their sustainable technology innovations had revolutionized the industry. Yet David never forgot the bitter lessons that had shaped his success. Sandra Walsh's legal team maintained their vigilance, ensuring no former associate could threaten their operations. The corporate structure she designed proved as impenetrable as their buildings. "The Tokyo development rights are secured," Amanda reported, reviewing late updates. Jessica's investment group says the local partners are eager to begin construction. Their global expansion continued relentlessly. Each new project incorporated lessons learned from the past: trust verified, loyalty rewarded, betrayal crushed without mercy. Michael Torres's security division had grown into an industry leader. Their systems protected not just Miller and Pierce, but select clients who met David's exacting standards of integrity. Walsh's latest job application was rejected, Rebecca's update noted. The photography studio owner is one of Sandra's golf partners. "No one in the industry will touch him." 5 years had passed since David's revenge began, yet its ripples continued spreading. His response to betrayal had become legendary in business circles. The empire he'd built stood as testament to the cost of crossing him. The sun set behind Miller and Pierce Tower as David reviewed plans for their next venture. The anger that had driven him had transformed into something more powerful: absolute conviction in his methods and standards. Amanda Pierce Miller shared that conviction. Their marriage merged complementary strengths into an unstoppable force. She understood, as few did, the importance of maintaining their fortress against betrayal. The empire grew, but its foundations remained rooted in bitter lessons learned. Trust earned, never freely given. Loyalty rewarded, betrayal destroyed. Success built from the ashes of those who dared cross David Miller. In his private office safe, David kept 2 photos. The old wedding picture with Katie served as a reminder of betrayal's cost. Beside it, a current photo showed the Miller and Pierce executive team, trusted allies who had helped build an empire on the ruins of broken trust. The lesson endured. Cross David Miller, and he would not just destroy you. He would erase you, replace you, and build something greater from your destruction. The empire stood as proof of his method's success. 5 years had transformed revenge into legacy. Miller and Pierce developments reshaped skylines across continents. Yet David maintained his vigilance, his standards, his intolerance for betrayal. The empire would continue growing, but its core remained unchanged. Trust verified, loyalty rewarded, betrayal crushed without mercy or forgiveness. David Miller had built more than buildings. He'd created a monument to the price of betrayal, an empire forged in the fires of revenge and tempered by ruthless determination. The future stretched before them, filled with new projects and possibilities. But the past's bitter lessons would forever guard against weakness, ensuring the empire's foundation remained unshakable. In the end, David Miller had not just survived betrayal. He had transformed it into an empire that stood as eternal warning. Cross him at your peril, for his revenge would echo through generations. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.